Welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're looking at something that feels like a real revolution in the industrial workplace. I mean, technology is literally leaping off the screen and becoming an active guide for the human workforce. So our mission today is a deep dive into the tech that's transforming the digital twin, that powerful 3D model of an asset or a facility.
Mm.
Well, it's shifting from a passive tool, something for just documentation or simulation, into a real-time AI-guided co-pilot for action. We've been looking at some excerpts from the announcement of a platform called EON Digital Twin IQ. It's aimed squarely at improving how people work in high-stakes fields like maintenance, repair, and operations, MRO.
Mhm.
And the goal for you, our listener, is to really get how this technology fundamentally enhances safety, boosts efficiency, and maybe most importantly, make sure that priceless institutional knowledge just never gets lost.
And that knowledge part is, I think, the perfect place to start. Because for years, industries have poured money into digital twins. But what we've seen is that, well, most of them just stay passive.
Passive how?
They're fantastic for training a new person in a simulation,
Yeah.
or for visualizing old data. But that all kind of breaks down when the technician is standing in front of a live, complex machine with a wrench in their hand.
Right, that's the gap, isn't it? The model is great, but it doesn't actually help the person make a decision right now on the factory floor.
Exactly. When you're making a worker try to interpret a really complex, multi-step standard operating procedure, an SOP from like a binder or even a PDF on a tablet, you're introducing risk right away.
That feels like the core struggle, trying to turn this dense manual into an action in the real world.
It is,
Yeah.
and it's what leads to such high failure rates in these manual procedures.
And the stakes are just monumental. I mean, we're talking about organizations grappling with unplanned downtime. If a technician messes up a procedure on a jet engine or a critical piece of refinery equipment.
The cost is huge.
Hmm.
The delay, the damaged equipment, or worse, a safety breach. It's not just the dollars, it's the hit to your operational confidence.
The source material really nailed that cost component. In some of these high-hazard industries, the time lost just from workers having to stop, look up a manual, confirm the right part,
Yeah.
then manually check their step. It all adds up to these crippling delays.
It does. The market is screaming for tools that don't just show you information, but actively guide you through the physical world, track what you're doing, and create that feedback loop. That's why a scalable AI solution is so indispensable right now.
Okay, so if the problem is the digital twin being passive and the documentation being clunky, what's the very first thing this new platform does to make that twin active and, actually useful in the field?
So the platform, EON Digital Twin IQ, it's positioned as a next-gen system built specifically to bridge that gap, the documentation to action gap.
Right.
And its core intelligence integrates three key things: powerful AI, really responsive augmented reality, and of course, accurate 3D models.
Okay, wait, I have to ask about the AI's role. That sounds incredibly complex to pull off. How does the AI actually read the old SOPs, the stuff sitting in a thick binder that could be decades old?
Yeah, it's way more sophisticated than just scanning the text.
Yeah.
The AI processes those existing SOPs and, this is key, the complex expert workflows, the stuff that's usually just in the head of a senior technician.
That tribal knowledge.
Exactly. It converts all that into structured, machine-readable steps. It doesn't just digitize the words. It figures out the intent of each step.
And once it gets the intent, how does it translate that into guidance an operator can actually follow?
That's where the 3D models and the AR come in. The system then aligns those machine-readable steps precisely with the actual 3D components on the real equipment, and the final output gets delivered as AR guidance right to the operator.
So it's like a digital overlay on the real world. It's not just a training tool. It's a living checklist that moves with you as you work.
That's it. It's a step-by-step intelligent copilot. It gives you procedures that are grounded directly to the physical assets, and it's tracking and auditing your execution in real time. It's the difference between learning in a classroom and having the world's best expert guide you in the field every single time.
Okay, so that jump from a cool concept to a measurable benefit is where the real value is. Let's get into the 5 key pillars of performance that the source material identified. This is where it gets really interesting.
Absolutely. This is where we move from theory into, well, powerful operational reality.
Okay, feature 1 is all about getting started efficiently, dual-purpose scanning, This sounds like it gets rid of a ton of administrative work.
It really does. I mean, think about the old process. An expert does a task that someone else has to come in and try to document it, and they always miss the little details.
Mm-hmm.
Dual-purpose scanning integrates the spatial scanning, so mapping the actual physical space in high detail with contextual notes while the expert is working.
Whoa, that's powerful. So if an experienced tech is doing a complex calibration, the system is recording their expertise, the exact movements, the environment, the subtle steps, and turning it into guidance for everyone else right then and there.
Exactly. You're not waiting for some long documentation process afterwards. It preserves that expert knowledge for both training and operational use all at the same time. You capture the environment and the workflow in one single seamless process.
That's a huge productivity boost. All right, let's go to the second feature, which is what the worker actually sees. Step-by-step, AR-guided work.
This is the core efficiency driver in action. It guides the workforce through instructions that are grounded to specific digital twin components. The operator sees these precise, real-time AR overlays right on the equipment they're working on.
So it's showing them where to look, what to turn, which connection to tighten.
Precisely. And this is where you see that immediate drop in errors, because the guidance is totally unambiguous. It essentially mandates 100% adherence to best practices because the instructions are overlaid onto the physical world.
So it ensures consistency. A new technician performs the task just as well as someone with 20 years of experience.
That's the goal. That precision is dictated by the system, not by human memory or interpretation.
And that idea of precision leads right into the third feature, which sounds critical for avoiding simple but costly mistakes. Grounding procedures to 3D parts.
This is the feature that stops someone from, say, working on the wrong unit in the server rack or turning the wrong valve on a complex manifold. The system links the SOPs directly to the specific components inside the digital twin.
Okay, so instead of the manual saying, adjust the blue valve, the AR literally draws a glowing arrow pointing to that exact blue valve, even if visibility is poor.
That is the perfect way to visualize it. It just kills ambiguity. It synchronizes the guidance directly to the physical environment and the specific real-world part. It massively speeds things up because you're not constantly looking back and forth between a manual and the machine.
So efficiency and precision are great, but in these high-stakes industries, the long-term stuff, safety, compliance, accountability, that's paramount. Let's look at feature 4. Safety, compliance, and auditability.
It absolutely is. And this changes the game for risk management. Since the system is actively guiding and tracking what you're doing through the AR interface, it tracks every single step for compliance.
So it knows when you started, when you finished, which steps you took.
Everything. That level of verifiable tracking is a huge legal and operational advantage.
I bet.
The completed workflows are stored in a fully auditable system. This is invaluable for inspections, both internal and external. It guarantees that procedures meet industry standards because you have a perfect record that the approved process was followed exactly.
Okay, and then the final piece, feature number 5, closes the loop. Measuring execution versus best practice. This is where the whole system gets smarter over time, right?
Yes, this is what moves an organization from just completing tasks to continuously optimizing them. The system doesn't just check if the worker followed the steps. It evaluates their performance, how long it took, any hesitation against the benchmarks built from those expert workflows we digitized earlier.
So it's constantly refining what best practice even means.
Precisely. It captures these critical data points that feed right back into continuous improvement efforts. It creates this perpetual learning loop for the whole organization. The more tasks you do, the smarter the system gets, and the better prepared your workforce is.
And looking at the source material, the overall positive impact seems, well, incredibly compelling and quantifiable. What are the big metrics organizations are seeing?
The benefits are pretty dramatic. A significant decrease in MRO errors, which means less downtime, more availability. The quality of work is no longer subjective. It's measured against best practices in real time.
And the big one for these fields.
And the big one. Comprehensive tracking for safety compliance and auditability. It just drastically lowers your operational risk.
It really is operational intelligence at scale, designed to eliminate the gaps where human error creeps in.
And we should touch on the deployment, too. The system is designed for a seamless integration. It can take all those existing SOPs and maintenance manuals that companies have already invested so much in.
So they don't have to start from scratch.
Not at all. It allows for a really rapid onset of benefits. The AI just processes the existing documentation and pushes it out as actionable AR guidance. It respects the company's history while embracing the future.
That makes a lot of sense. It's this idea of the digital twin becoming an active participant that Dan Lidgerskar, the chairman of EON Reality, called a historic shift.
That quote really resonates because it captures the whole transformation. We are moving from a world where computers just showed us information to one where they're actively guiding our physical actions in 3D. It's about empowering people and creating these measurable, positive gains.
So what does this all mean for you? Well, it means we are entering a future where human expertise can be secured, where it's never lost. Every complex task can be guided by the most precise, data-driven best practices delivered right where the work is actually happening.
The big shift is moving beyond just documenting errors after they happen to actively preventing them in real time. It's about increasing human capability through really intelligent assistance.
So we've covered the core mechanics, those 5 pillars. Codifying expertise with dual-purpose scanning, cutting errors with AR-guided work, and finally getting to 100% auditable compliance. It's a really compelling look at how AI and AR are fundamentally reshaping industrial operations for the better.
And this leaves us with a final thought for you to consider. If this technology can achieve 100% compliance tracking and eliminate ambiguity in a sector as complex and high-risk as MRO, what's next? What previously vulnerable, manually interpreted sector is going to be the next to demand and benefit from this level of real-time AI-guided intelligence?
You could think about surgery prep, complex construction assembly, even precision agriculture.
The implications for eliminating human variability, they stretch far, far beyond the factory floor.
Something to mull over until our next deep dive. Thanks for joining us.